Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I am so glad you're here. If you're so inclined, please hit the subscribe button below the video here. It really helps my videos get seen by more people, helps the YouTube boat float it up the stream, I guess you would say. And I've also added a membership little deal to the page. There's some perks, there's some extras. If you're so inclined, check it out. If not, that's absolutely fine too. But today what we're going to do is we're going to do one of our comparison videos, one of our knife off battle. It's something that I lifted from Lefty EDC that he was doing for a while with a few modifications in what he was measuring, and it'll evolve as we look at different knives and as I get more comfortable understanding things that might make a determining factor. But I think we cover them all here. When I take out left-handedness, I'm left with an even number there. So should there be a tie based on the points that we assign either one of these knives for each of these different variables, it'll be determined by my subjective vote. So what we have today are two very similar knives, and they're also different. So we've got the Rockwall by Tactile Knife Company in MagnaCut and full titanium. And then we have the Quiet Carry Drift in Vanax SuperClean with totally stainless LN200, I think, some weird metal liners and scales, but G10 instead of titanium. So for sake of just being truly transparent, when we look at a tactile turn, our first category here is price. So when you look at the tactile turn standard Rockwall, before you get into any of the fancier finishes or the zirconium studs, things like that, this guy lists for $299. Well, this guy is $245. So you could say Quiet Carry gets priced, but what I did is I looked and priced the titanium, which if I had the titanium, we'd be looking at apples to apples, right? The materials, which is another category, but $305 for a titanium stonewashed. And it was right at, I want to say, $295 for titanium and a satin blade. So what I'm going to do, guys, and if y'all don't object, is I'm just going to cross off price and make that kind of a draw, because to me, $299 and $305, $299, $245 if you want G10. You do have more options or price points here. So I'm going to give that to neither one of those guys. Perceived value, that's another interesting one, because the Rockwalls are pretty plentiful. You can get those. I haven't ever had to hunt for a Rockwall. They are sometimes unavailable, but they become available very often. And the Quiet Carry Waypoint is also available. Right now, I was just on their website getting pricing, and they are available as I sit here. So perceived value, I don't know where to go with that. I don't know which one would be quicker to sell on the secondary, which one you would retain its value better. So out of just plain ignorance and not knowing an answer, I'm going to strike that one. And that's going to be just a dead tie, because why not? I don't know how to measure that. So aesthetics. Keep in mind, guys, everything I touch on here is 100% subjective. So when we're talking about aesthetics, it's how does the knife look? How does the knife look? So does it look cool? Does it look functional? Does it look unique? And these two knives, ironically enough, look very damn similar. Do they not? I mean, you do have the Quiet Carry little holes here that make it a little different. The blades, you do have this little bit of swedge here at the front. That's, I think, kind of cool. And of course, I like the titanium better than the G10, but and this is, again, subjective, guys. So when I look at these two knives, I think the Quiet Carry is a little more meh looking, and I think the Tactile Turn, because it has that little defining detail there on that little swedge on the spine of the blade, I'm going to give one very close point in aesthetics to our Tactile Turn Rockwall. So then we look at ergos. These knives, guys, are very similar sized, but the Waypoint is going to be a little bit longer. As you can tell there, I'm going to guess that's about a ½ inch longer. So when we look at the blade length, you're right at 3 inches and right at 3 1/4. Handle is 4 1/8 and 4. So let that kind of weigh into your, with my medium to large size hand, that's what I'm going by. But keep in mind, this handle's a 1/4 inch longer. So one thing that I love about the Tactile Knife Company is these edges, these titanium edges, are very soft. They're not down. They're rounded over. It's very organic feeling, and even though it has texture in the titanium scales, it is not at all aggressive. It feels nice in the hand. And this little minimalistic pocket clip does not even, I can't even detect it. So for a cutter, for an EDC knife, because I kind of put both of these knives, even though the Vanax SuperClean is damn near rust proof and it's not going to corrode on you, but I put these knives in the similar category. For me, which they're in my collection, I bought them. Actually got this in a raffle, the Jason Brown raffle. Be up, rip, Brother Brown. But I carry these as gentleman's carries, work knives, and when I work, it's mainly behind a desk and I'm cutting open boxes. Y'all know the drill. I'm not a hard use guy unless I'm out camping, and I enjoy cutting stuff with my knives, but that's just the reality of what happens during my day. So when I'm looking at ergos, I think, again, this is the way I am going to perceive it, but I think that this is going to be very close, because I think if you're a larger hand fella or lady, you might prefer the Quiet Carry. To me, even though it has scalloped chamfered edges, they're sharper than the titanium on the Rockwall, and the G10 just feels, I can feel these scales, this lock bar. It's just, when I really put a tight grip on it, I can feel those things in my hand. When I do the same squeeze on this Tactile Turn, I don't get that sharp feeling. I don't feel this lock bar. I don't feel these scales, which don't sit necessarily higher than the G10, but the G10 is much sharper on the edges. I have not held the titanium, but we're judging these two knives. So the ergos are going to go to the Rockwall. Again, to me, it's a smoother knife. It fits my hand perfectly. I can get a full 4-finger grip on it. The pocket clip, I'm not even aware is there. Whereas the Waypoint, it's kind of sharp right in here where my finger wants to land. And if I'm doing processing a lot of cardboard, cutting a lot of boxes, that's going to become not necessarily an issue, but it's going to be less comfortable. So that gives us aesthetics, ergos, now cutting. One thing I'll say about these is both of them have the edges that they came with. I have not sharpened the SuperClean. I have not sharpened the Maximum. So I think when I look at them, the Quiet Carry is definitely thinner. So I'm going to anticipate that it's going to be a better slicer, but I don't have my coupon book, so I had to pull out some magazine paper. I'm listening for the sound, feeling for the resistance. All right, so that thin blade of Vanax slices very well. Take out a fresh pack of magazine paper. I missed it that time, guys. That was cutter error. I'm not really able to turn that cut. Some of it's cutter error. Again, I don't know if these were both. I probably should have sharpened both of these guys up, but we'll call this cutting with a little asterisk with factory edge. And that, without doubt, this knife's not dull, but it probably needs to be stropped, might even need to be sharpened. That goes to the waypoint. So carry. The Quiet Carry has the wire clip, which I'm a huge fan of, that typically go in and out of pocket very easily. This is no exception. It goes in and out of pocket very easily, and it has tight retention. It doesn't feel like it's going to tear up my khakis, which I'm wearing today. The Rockwall goes in and out a little bit more resistance, a little bit harder to get it in, and a little bit stiffer to get it out. And carry, they both take up about the same amount of pocket space. They're both deep carry. You're going to have a tiny bit of the waypoint sticking out. Pretty much covers the Rockwall. But guys, just because of this wire clip, which I know a lot of you hate, this will also take a Lynch clip, one of the Spyderco replacement clips. This is, if I'm not mistaken, the same pattern. You might want to double check that before you order one, but that is my understanding. And if you DM me on Instagram, I will check it for you if you really are that needing to know, because I do have a wire clip that I could take off and try, but I didn't do it for this video. But that's going to go to the waypoint carry is. So sound and acoustics. The Rockwall is on bearings. The Rockwall snaps into life, has a great little ting when it closes. Whereas our waypoint is on washers, has solid lockup. Wow, I almost got my finger with that one. Guys, that's going to go to the Rockwall. The Rockwall has better sound and acoustics, and there are reasons for that. Primarily the ball bearings that give it, they both have very good detent, but the washer is not going to fly open as quickly as the bearing, and I think the titanium also might have something to do with it. But either way, it's subjective. I think this is probably as objective as a test as we do in these battles, because you're actually hearing the sound and it's much louder. I prefer to hear the knives open, so for me, the acoustics are going to go to the Tactile Knife Company Rockwall. So materials. This is a hard one, guys. Even though this is G10, this knife is not going to ever rust. This is Vanax SuperClean steel, and I want to say the liners are LN200. I was reading about them earlier, and I'm sure I got that metal wrong, but they're truly corrosion resistant too. And ironically, I see some little spot on this pivot that I'm sure is not rust, but a little smutsy or something. Maybe it's a scratch. No, it's just a little smuts that scratched off. So when we talk about fit and finish, this knife, perfectly centered, has very, very low channel, so not a lot of room on either side of the blade. But with those washers and with the way that it's got very simple assembly, the fit and finish on the Waypoint is top notch. And the materials to me are more science fiction, more space age, more than I even understand, how metallurgy works. But even though this is a titanium and Magna cut, but then again, I don't live in an area where I'm going to take a knife necessarily when I go to the beach, and it's I'm struggling with this one, guys. I think it's a no-brainer to say the titanium and the Magna cut are better materials. The fit and finish is going to go just close to centered. I can't put Magna cut above the Vanax SuperClean, and I know these are titanium nested liners, or nested lock bar. These are a more unique material. I'm going to give the fit and finish, and wow, the materials are next. I'm going to give the fit and finish and the materials to the Quiet Carry. And again, this is subjective, guys. In my brain, I did not think about this beforehand. That's why there have been a lot of pauses and ums while I'm thinking about really what I feel there. So action, again, is going to be a no-brainer. This is on bearings, even though I just tightened the pivot a little bit. The stud is a little close to the scale for the reverse flick, but it's still doable. Can't really do a reverse flick there. It's on washers, which are going to make it a much better use knife in terms of if the shit hits the fan. So this is actually going to go to the Rockwall. So wouldn't we know it, we have a 4-4 tie. Guys, what I can say is both of these knives are great knives. The one that I carry more, that I like more in my collection, there are different reasons. This knife will be a forever knife because of the way I obtained it, and that I love it. No, I'll be able to pass it down to my daughter. Nothing's going to ever happen to it. It's not going to rust unless I break the blade. The Rockwall I carry a lot more. I love the snappiness of it. I love the design of it. I love what Tactile Knife has done. And before they even made knives, I had their pins. I've had a slim that I traded out, and then I picked up the standard that I like better. But guys, what I'm going to do, to be totally diplomatic, is if I could choose one of these knives, I would choose, for my personal preferences, the Rockwall, because it suits me better. But I cannot say that this knife beats this knife in my scale of comparison here. I cannot, with good conscience, say this knife beats this knife. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully this is not too anticlimactic because I did not plan it this way. I'm going to give it a draw, and I'm going to tell you guys that either one of these knives are fantastic knives. They're both going to be right around the same price point. And if you live on the beach, or you're a deep sea fisherman or longshoreman, this knife might appeal to you more than this knife. They're both very similar in their carry profile. The Waypoint does have a thinner blade and is going to be more slicey, but they're more similarities than there are differences. So I think they're both fantastic knives. They're both going to be, I would be willing to bet, forever knives in my collection. And guys, this one came out. This is the knife I was carrying today. Lay on my field duty EDC, put it back in my pocket. and we'll call this, and I actually feel good about it, we'll call it a draw. It is a draw. You cannot go wrong. If this is the type of knife that you're looking for, if you've been thinking about, gosh, I don't know whether I want the Rockwall and the Waypoint, the main differences: ball bearings, undeniably smoother action, but the phosphorus bronze washers are going to be much lower maintenance than the bearings. They're going to be more reliable, I would guess. Materials, again, I preferred the look of this. I have no problem with the look of this, and I know that this is going to handle harsher environments better. So they both got their positive, where one of them might punch over the other one's weight, but looking at it as just a package, they're both winners, guys. This is a draw. I, in full transparency, like the Rockwall more and carry it more, but that's neither here nor there. All I ask is that you look out for the guy or gal to your left, look out for the guy or gal to your right, look out for each other, and be kind when you're in chats. It's always fun to rib people. We all do it, but just do it in the spirit of fun and do it in the spirit of love within your heart, and don't take things too seriously. I'm an action guy. Shane's a steel guy. We're great friends. We pick on each other in chat, but we don't take it seriously. So just take your own path. Draw from the community what you can, which I think you're going to find is a group of people that are loving, that are willing to help you answer questions, that are willing to, really do anything for you to help you along your knife journey. Just don't take it so seriously that you get angry or that you get, you piss somebody off, because people don't like to get pissed off. I don't think any of us do. Guys, if you'd like to subscribe, please subscribe. If you'd like to join, feel free to join. I love you all. I appreciate you watching my video. I hope to talk to you all soon. Looking forward to Friday night, even though it's much earlier in the week. Peace.